Hey everyone, we are getting ready here to actually put our images that we just created to use. So I've done a couple of things here. I created two new folders, one for card images and one for scripts. I took the scripts that I currently had and I put them in the scripts folder. I also took the card images that we cut out and I put them in the card images folder. You'll notice if you click on the drop down menu, all of these card images pop up and we can view them in the bottom right corner of our screen where the inspector is. What we want to do right now is we want to actually look for any patterns because we're going to use those patterns in our code to actually determine how we want to write the script. So the first pattern we need to look for, and you'll notice this if you designed in the same orientation that I designed in Paint, your cards all start with like the same number but different suits. And the order of the suits is always the same, as long as you use that vertical design pattern. If you did it horizontally, you might have gotten slightly different results, but that's okay. So my order is hearts, clubs, spades, and then diamonds. And what I want to do is I want to keep track of that because it happens to be hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds every time, so that I can then write some code. All right, hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds. I'm going to remember that. So I want to go to my script. And I could just make a comment anywhere, hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds, so that I can return back to that later. Great. All right, I'm going to do one more thing with my script. I'm going to create this public variable. It needs to be a sprite array because in our Unity prefab, so if I go into my prefabs folder and look at the card prefab, the actual image component uses a sprite as the source image. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create an array of sprites which contains each of those card images. So we'll create a sprite array, call it card images. You don't actually have to assign the values through script. We're going to assign the values manually through the Unity engine. And if you've done this before, you know that that was like, yeah, it was not good to hear that, but I'll go ahead and explain what that means. We're going to go to our deck manager game object, and you'll notice now that I created the public card images variable, a new card images array has popped up here. I've changed the size to 52, and as you can see, I've taken the time to fill this out. But let me show you what you need to do. So I go to the card images folder and click on the drop down menu. I want to select deck manager, and then one by one, you click and drag these into their respective place in the array. What's nice is element 0 will be the item named with a 0 at the end. Element 1 will be the item named with a 1 at the end. But it is a little bit mind-numbing, dragging and dropping 52 times. Don't worry, you only have to do this once, and once you do it, we'll be able to get some really nice looking cards. But in the meantime, go ahead and take your time and drag those over. You can pause the video now and return once you're done. Okay, so back to the script. We're going to make pretty much just one major change here. And I've gone ahead and I turned on outlining so that I could, minimize a couple of things. I minimized the awake and start and shuffle, deal method 1, deal method 2, play card. I'm really focusing on the show card here because show card is where the card actually shows up. And if you go to the bottom of show card, this is where your show card will cut off. That's what you should have at this point. I've added a few new things. For example, remember that order of suits that we created? Well, I went ahead and wrote a comment. Hearts, clubs, diamond, spade. Or sorry, hearts, clubs, spade, diamond. So I could keep track of the order of suits. I also want to keep track of the order of the numbers as they're popping up. If I go down through these images, I have ace, 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 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, etc. So I want to make sure in my code I can write something that indexes, which cards map with which image. So I'm going to create this integer called card image index every time I show a card. It's a temporary variable, which means I don't need to make it public or anything, so I can just do it right here in the function. So my card image index is going to be my card value times 4. How did I come up with that? Well, if I look right over here, all aces will pretty much happen at the same point. They're all together. So what I can do is I can just take the value and then how many times that value pops up, which happens to be 4, and do multiples of 4 every time the value changes. So like for the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to have for my first 4 cards, it'll be 4 times 0, which is 0, and then I'm going to add 1 if it's a club, I'm going to add 2 if it's a spade, and add 3 if it's a diamond. For the second set of 4, I'll do 4 times 1, and then I'll add 1 if it's a club, I'll add 2 if it's a spade, and 3 if it's a diamond. So you'll notice like kind of there's a pattern here. If you had your cards arranged differently, you may want to go through the suits and then add for the numbers instead. It just depends, but you want to get it such that your integer that we're assigning will eventually match up with the picture that goes with the card. So you can play around with this and kind of get it to work. If it doesn't make sense, you just have to experiment, and then eventually things will fall into place. So my card image index is a card value times 4, and then I want to do a switch so that if it is a club, then I want to add 1. If it's a spade, I want to add 2, and if it's a diamond, I want to add 3. So the switch will investigate the card's suit variable. And then if the suit matches up with clubs, then it'll do this. If the suit matches with spades, it'll do this, and diamonds, it'll do that. Notice how I did not need to include hearts, because hearts is like I'm adding 0, so that's no change. At the very end, I simply want to edit the image that the card is showing. So I'm going to access the newest prefab, which we created up here inside of the show card function, newest prefab, and I want to look at the image component. But within the image component, I need to access the sprite, which is kind of confusing because if you look at the actual prefab, there's nothing labeled sprite here, but the source image is actually sprite. So you'd want to access the sprite. And when we change the sprite, we want to change it to the correct image from our card images array. So that would be the image in this array with the index card image index. So once I save this, I want to show you what it actually does. Let's go into Unity and hit play. And you'll notice something kind of cool happens. With our hand, we now see all of the art that we just generated. Great. Notice how the corners are not, showing anything extra. It's cut out just like we did. We went into Photoshop, made them transparent. So everything looks great. But as soon as I select a card and then start playing it, it does not have that image. And that's because that was in the next function, the modified show card. So in the next video, we will be making a change to modified show card, and we're going to get all of the cards to look nice like we have right now. Another change we'll make in the next video is, if you notice, there are these like really ugly text descriptions of the cards, and you notice how they don't really match up with what the card actually is, like 2 of hearts is 3 of hearts. But we're going to get rid of that in the next video. So hope this helped. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, like and subscribe. I am trying to get to 100 subscribers, so if you haven't already done so, please help me out with that. Once we get to 100, we can actually create a custom name for the channel. So that's the goal. All right, see you guys next time. Good luck.